When millions of people copy a viral reel, it usually does not destroy the original creator's business. When the exact same thing started happening in AI, OpenAI reportedly lost nearly 80 billion in revenue almost overnight. But unlike Instagram creators, OpenAI's entire business was built on one assumption, that if you want the best AI model, you have no choice to pay for the OpenAI's premium subscriptions. While the world was obsessed with ChatGPT, Mark Zuckerberg was executing a plan to make it worthless.
The reason why we're building our own big models is because we want to be able to build exactly what we want.
But the moment AI started becoming easy to copy, modify and reproduce, that advantage started collapsing extremely fast, and the company accelerating that collapse was Meta. People already joke that the most AI startups are just ChatGPT wrappers with better interface. But that joke reveals something massive. For the last few years, OpenAI has been the undisputed king of artificial intelligence. Think about what ChatGPT actually did to the world. Students use it for homework, programmers use it to code, businesses rushed to integrate it into workflow overnight. It became the fastest growing consumer technology product in recorded history, reaching 100 million users in just 60 days. Faster than TikTok, which needed 9 months, or Instagram, which took over 2 years. Analysts noted that in 2 decades of tracking internet products, they have never seen a consumer app scale that quickly. Microsoft poured in billions. Investors treated the company like the future of computing itself. On the surface, the empire looked completely untouchable. But here's the thing about viral internet product: they create a very dangerous illusion, and OpenAI walked right into it. Because millions of people using something does not automatically means millions of people paying for it. Social media companies learned this lesson the hard way years ago. Views are not revenue, attention is not profit, and OpenAI walked into this exact same trap. Think about this for a second. Hundreds of millions of people were using ChatGPT every single day for free, while every single query was burning thousands of GPU computes every second. Every conversation, every question, every generation, it was burning money at an alarming rate. Training frontier AI models cost billions of dollars. Running them cost billions more. OpenAI lost $5 billion in 2024 alone on $3.7 billion in revenue, meaning it spent far more than it earned. And that number is projected to climb dramatically. Losses are forecast to reach $14 billion by 2026, which total losses from 2023 to 2029 estimated at $120 billion before the company projects profitability after 2029. Do you realize what that means? That is not a startup burning cash to acquire users. That is a company betting that its technological lead will hold long enough to eventually generate the profit. And that bet only works under one condition: that nobody else can replicate what they have built. Companies can only burn that kind of money if they possess something nobody else can copy. They need an advantage. They need superiority so overwhelming it justifies the cost. Technological advancement only work as long as there is nobody who can cross it. And for a while, OpenAI's technological advantage felt genuinely uncrossable. Now here's where the situation becomes genuinely dangerous for OpenAI specifically. The company is not competing against one rival. It's being squeezed from every direction at once simultaneously by players with completely different incentive structures and completely different levels of tolerance for losses. Enterprise clients started experimenting with alternatives. Some companies shifted toward Google because of ecosystem integration. Others moved toward open source models because they could customize them internally. Meanwhile, Anthropic, focused almost entirely on enterprise coding use cases, had grown to roughly $19 billion in annualized revenue by early 2026. And while OpenAI was busy becoming a consumer phenomenon, celebrated on magazine covers, integrated into cultures, many competitors quietly focused on something more strategic. They were becoming an infrastructure provider for businesses. That distinction matters enormously because enterprise contracts are where the real money lies. So picture the situation OpenAI finds itself in. The company is burning billions every year. Its technological need is shrinking. Enterprise customers are diversifying away from the ChatGPT, and the advantage that once justified OpenAI's extraordinary valuation, one of the highest in Silicon Valley history, is beginning to evaporate in real time. The pressure becomes so intense that OpenAI reportedly started exploring advertising inside ChatGPT itself, and that completely changes the emotional tone of the story. Because the company that once positioned itself as the company that talked about building technology that would benefit all of humanity,
over 92% of Fortune 500 companies building on our products,
is now potentially moving toward the exact same advertising-driven economics that powers Google and Meta. And that's exactly when the Zuckerberg entered the story. To understand why Zuckerberg's strategy is so dangerous, you have to go back to what looked like the biggest failure in the history of technology, the metaverse. Meta poured tens of billions of dollars into virtual reality, while the rest of the industry watched and mocked the company in real time. The stock collapsed, analysts called Zuckerberg delusional, social media turned him into a meme, and for a while it genuinely looked like that he had lost his plot entirely. But almost everyone misunderstood what Zuckerberg was actually trying to solve, because beneath all the awkward demos and the embarrassing press coverage was a much deeper fear, one that had been haunting Meta for years before VR ever entered the conversation. In mobile computing, Meta does not own the platform. Apple owns iOS, Google owns Android, Facebook and Instagram exist as tenants. They are living inside ecosystem controlled by the other companies. Apple can change its privacy rules overnight and wipe billions of Meta's advertising revenue. Google can modify platform policies whenever it wants, and Meta, despite controlling some of the largest social media applications on earth, despite reaching billions of users daily, has almost no recourse. Imagine building the most successful restaurant on the earth, but you don't own the building, you do not own the kitchen, you rent everything from the landlord who can change the lease whenever he wants. And that is Meta's position in mobile industry. Because when the artificial intelligence emerged as the next great computing platform, the next layer that would sit underneath everything, Mark Zuckerberg approached it very differently. OpenAI wanted to build the best AI product. Zuckerberg wanted to control the ecosystem where every future AI product would live. What Zuckerberg did next completely changed the economics of artificial intelligence, and this time he found a weapon the OpenAI could never use against him: the open source. OpenAI spent years and billions building some of the most advanced AI systems on earth, and Zuckerberg's response was not to build the better closed competitor. Meta started releasing its frontier AI models to the public for free, not toy models, but actual state-of-the-art systems, capable of competing with some of the most advanced proprietary models in the world. The number became staggering. Llama crossed 650 million downloads by December 2024, hit 1 billion by March 2025, and reached 1.2 billion by late of April 2025, adding 200 million downloads in roughly 6 weeks. Now here's where things get really weird. Most people completely misunderstood that what Meta was giving away for free. Most people think ChatGPT itself is a product. It's not. The real product is the intelligence working beneath the ChatGPT. And Meta changed that equation entirely. Instead of simply giving developers access to chatbot interface, Meta released what AI engineers called the model weights. And this is where the technical parts get genuinely interesting. These weights are mathematical brain of AI system itself, billions of optimized parameters trained across enormous amount of data that determines how the model writes, predicts, reasons, code, and responds. And once developers possess those weights, they no longer need OpenAI's infrastructure. Now what happened next was almost beautiful in its chaos. Open source communities immediately started optimizing models to run cheaper and faster. Developers fine-tuned them for specialized industries. Researchers experimented with entirely new architecture. And this leads to the multi-billion-dollar question sitting at the center of this entire story. So if these models are so expensive, so strategically important, and so valuable, why would Zuckerberg intensely give them to the entire world for free? Now there is a famous idea in technology economics called commoditize your complement. The logic is simple but ruthless. If another industry supports your core business, you want the price of that supporting industry to collapse toward zero. Because once it is everywhere, your existing advantage compounds dramatically. Meta's core business is human attention. The more time people spend online, creating, scrolling, consuming, interacting, the more valuable Meta's advertising empire becomes. AI is not Meta's primary product. It is infrastructure. Infrastructure that amplifies engagement across everything Meta already owns. Meta committed $72.2 billion in capital expenditure in 2025 alone, and it's guiding toward $125 to $145 billion at the end of 2026. Its most aggressive infrastructure build-out in company history. Zuckerberg can sustain the war chest because Meta generates enormous advertising profits. OpenAI cannot because AI access is OpenAI's only significant revenue stream, and it's already making a big loss. So by releasing the powerful AI models for free, Zuckerberg is deliberately driving down the price of AI itself. He's turning the frontier AI models into commodity like what happened with the electricity. And once AI becomes cheap and easily available, OpenAI's pricing power starts collapsing. Every dollar Meta spends making AI cheaper is the dollar that makes the OpenAI's business harder to run. And that imbalance creates an almost impossible battlefield for the OpenAI. But the final stage of Zuckerberg's strategy is where this stops being about money entirely. This is where it becomes part about something much larger, ecosystem control. Now, quote this line: technology wars are rarely won by companies with the best product. They are won by companies controlling the ecosystem. Windows built technically superior operating system because developers standardized around it. Android succeeded not because it was the best mobile operating system, but because it became the open platform that manufacturers around the world could build on globally without permission. And this is exactly what Zuckerberg is trying to do with llama models. By making the models open and accessible, Meta invited the entire global community to build on top of its ecosystem. And the most elegant part of this strategy, the part that genuinely reveals how carefully this was designed, is that Meta is effectively outsourcing innovation to the internet itself. By early 2025, Llama had over 60,000 derivative models on the Hugging Face alone. Think about Linux. One company did not build the Linux alone. One team did not maintain it. Thousands of developers across the world continuously improve it together over decades. And today it runs the majority of internet's infrastructure, not because it had the best marketing, not because it had the biggest budget, but because open systems compounds in ways closed systems fundamentally cannot. And that is exactly what is beginning to happen with open source AI. And do you realize what that means strategically? OpenAI is competing with a research budget. Meta is competing with a movement. The same thing that happened with the electricity. It's not that the electricity making companies are the most profitable business. The companies that making the appliances or the machine that works on electricity are the companies that are actually making the huge profits. OpenAI is now facing a problem that goes far beyond the competition, far beyond the market share, the pricing pressure, or even the talent wars. Because for most of the last few years, the assumption driving the entire AI industry was deceptively simple: whoever builds the smartest model wins. But this is where the story flips completely. Zuckerberg's strategy quietly changed the question. What if the artificial intelligence become abundant? What if the frontier models become less rare, less expensive, and start becoming the infrastructure that anyone can access for nearly nothing? So that's it. If you like this video and if you find any value from it, then make sure to hit that like button. And if you're new to the channel, then make sure you have subscribed. Thanks for watching, stay awesome, and I will see you in the next one.